The Supreme Court delivered a landmark verdict today in the case regarding the imposition of President's rule in Arunachal Pradesh in January earlier this year. Essentially, the Supreme Court ruling said that the governor of Arunachal Pradesh's action of bringing forward the dates of the assembly session in Arunachal Pradesh in December last year are illegal. They are ultra vires of the constitution, and therefore all the decisions that were taken after that stand cancelled. So essentially the Congress government has been brought back into the state. In this edition of the special conversation on this issue, we'll be trying to understand how do things move from here on. In the conversation with me today is my colleague Akash Bish, who's been following the developments from the ground zero as well. Akash, so first of all, because the Supreme Court's decision says that all the decisions taken by the governor since then stand cancelled, so essentially the status quo ante, I think, is the actual term that has been mentioned in the constitution, which means that whatever position existed in Arunachal Pradesh before the governor preponed the dates of the assembly session will be brought back. So that means essentially that Nabam Tuki is back in the chief minister's position. What are Tuki's plans now? How do things move forward in Arunachal Pradesh from here on?
See, Charu, I was talking to Tuki at the AICC headquarters today, and my gut feeling was that it has not yet sunk in for him that he's become the chief minister again.
Okay.
And considering that he doesn't have the numbers, so it is obvious that his mind is just doing the calculations that how he's going to go back and what will he do there. But essentially, Tuki is saying that he'll seek legal opinion first, and then he has to go back to his state, which he's saying that he'll most probably be going tomorrow, and after which he'll be convening a cabinet meeting where he'll be discussing that when the next session should be held. And the next session holds the key to what happens to Tuki's future.
Okay.
Because in the next session, there'll be a decision taken on when in the cabinet meeting, the decision would be taken when the next session would be held. And in that case, if Full and those who have defected from Congress,
Kaliko Full.
Yeah, Kaliko Full, the president or the former chief minister.
So, the leader of the dissident group.
Yeah, the leader of the dissident group. So it depends on what if they go to the house, say that we are not with Congress, then you go for a floor test. And in that floor test, if the Congress loses, then there is a high possibility that the state will go for elections again.
Okay. Akash, there is an interesting difference between how the Supreme Court handled these two cases of imposition of President's rule.
True.
One in Uttarakhand and one in Arunachal Pradesh. While in Uttarakhand, the Supreme Court was pretty hands-on, and it took charge of how even the floor test was going to be held in the assembly, dictating all the arrangements.
True.
While in the case of Arunachal Pradesh, we've seen that it's been nearly 5 months since the order was kept reserved.
True.
So essentially a period of 6 months, which the Supreme Court has taken to finally deliver its judgment.
Yeah.
What do we understand from this difference?
See, if you look at Uttarakhand, the courts were really proactive in that sense. That the High Court took cognizance of the issue and they immediately said that Harish Raut should take a floor test. But then the matter went to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court also was really proactive in that sense, and they delivered a very quick judgment. But howsoever in Arunachal you would see that there's been so much delay that people are not even keeping an eye on today's verdict. People didn't even think, even most of the political commentators and other reporters, the verdict came as a shock to them because no one was expecting it, because it has been delayed for so long. Everyone thought that it will be delayed again, and then suddenly, so you need to question that why did Supreme Court not take a stand earlier when these rebel MLAs, why did Supreme Court allow the rebel MLAs to form the government?
In the first place.
Yeah, in the first place, they could have taken a stand back then and said that okay, this government is illegal, or we are looking into the matter, and once we decide the matter, then the next government should be formed. So in that case, it just puts a little bit of doubt that why the Supreme Court was so late in making this decision. Because for all these months when Full was the chief minister, they've taken a lot of decisions for the state. And now what happens to those decisions in those 6 months or whatever, 5 months? So what happens to those decisions? Does Tuki, says that all those remain invalid or what? So in that case, the state also again faces some sort of a crisis. And then again, it has to be, I think that judiciary has to take the blame for this, that they could have taken a stand much earlier as compared to now. So it has done far more damage to the state, in my opinion.
Akash, Kapil Sibal very interestingly gave a very clear signal that this issue will have reverberations in the parliament session that begins next week.
True.
And secondly, in a very ironic way, this also impacts the BJP because it was set to announce a landmark development today, the opening of the Northeast Democratic Alliance, sort of a stitching up of the umbrella of all non-Congress players in the Northeast. How big a setback is this for the BJP at this point of time?
See, it is certainly a setback, considering that BJP was moving ahead with this idea of whole Congress Mukt Northeast, and they were trying to make inroads in Meghalaya, and similarly they were doing it in Manipur. So this verdict has been like a shot in the arm for the Congress, that now they can focus on Manipur with this verdict, and their MLAs can think that they can still win, and they don't necessarily need to ally with BJP. So in that sense, I see that yes, this would have a major impact on BJP's plans in that sense. And as far as your first question is concerned, that how it would the impact it would have on the forthcoming parliament session. So I see GST become a victim of it, because now Congress has got the ammunition. Till yesterday, Congress was talking about that yes, we are ready to talk with the party, with the government, we are ready to negotiate with them. But now they've just suddenly found this, like they've become a little offensive in that, and I think GST would certainly be a victim. And considering the kind of support they've got from all the other parties, including Arvind Kejriwal and others who've been pretty vocal about this Arunachal Pradesh judgment. So I think that if Congress could convince other partners and can start the session with a bang and raise this issue in the first place, then GST could certainly fail. This could be a major hurdle for BJP to pass the GST.
All right. So it's over to the parliament, but in an interesting side note, the governor of Arunachal Pradesh, AP Rajakhowa, who was in the Raj Bhavan when this entire controversy broke out, has gone on leave, and it happened nearly a week ago, and the governor of Tripura, Tathagat Roy, has been given additional charge. So the man through whom the centre effectively orchestrated this entire script is no longer in that office. But that's an interesting side note. It's not really going to make much of a difference to where things officially move from here on. But of course, apart from Arunachal Pradesh, the heat is likely to be here in New Delhi when the parliament session begins next week. So it's over to the parliament from now on. That's all we have for you in this special conversation on the Arunachal issue. Thank you for tuning in.